Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott. You're in the Prog Corner, and today, man, we've got an all-star panel. Look around. Feast your eyes on what we've got before thee. It's Wayne, the musical hermit. How you doing, Wayne?
Not bad. Wildfire season has started in Alberta again, and it's smoky.
No, yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. You
Nope.
got any wildfires down there in Florida, Scott? It's Scott Davis from Mythologic, boys and girls.
Nope. It's no wildfires yet, but there is drought conditions here. So yeah, I'm just
not again.
Loving life and happy to be stuck in the Prog Corner once again.
Yeah, my parents live down there in Cape Coral, so I don't know if they're dealing with any drought, but we'll keep our eye on that and all other natural disasters. Cody, are there any natural disasters happening in Ontario today?
Just the fact that it's Mother's Day. No, I'm just kidding. It's all good here. Mom's happy upstairs. She's watching this new movie on Michael J. Fox, and I'm out here doing the Prog Corner. Everyone's having a good day, so it's been great so far.
Awesome. And every time this young lady shows up, it brightens up our Sunday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Tara from Spinning Prog. Somewhere your dad might be lurking around. Tara, what's going on?
Good. There is actually sunshine in Ireland at the moment, so that's why I'm in a t-shirt for like one of the very few times in my life.
We got Amarok in the house.
It's usually rain and cats and dogs here, but everything is good. The channel is going great. I'm in the middle of my college exams at the moment, so our content hasn't been as abundant as it was, but we're getting there.
Boys and girls, if you haven't heard the new Amarok album, I highly recommend it. I don't know what's going on, but I'm really hooked on Polish prog. Oh. There's so much great stuff happening in Poland these days. Oh. And this is the new one from Amarok. It's called Hope. It's fantastic. The more I listen to it, the more I love it. So welcome to the channel, Amarok. I love you guys. And you know what? For his second appearance, is this your second time here? It's Zultan, boys and girls. Zultan is in the house.
Hi. Nothing big going on over here other than how's everyone been experiencing this big storm, this big geomagnetic storm? Have you guys seen any northern lights?
Yeah.
We did have some over our house, apparently.
We're a little too far south.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we're too far south.
Yeah, you are. But I was walking the dog, and I didn't know what I was seeing. I live in Ohio. You don't expect northern lights in Ohio. No. I didn't really find out what was going on until the next morning, and I saw the news. Oh, I guess I seen him. If I would have known, I would have maybe paid attention or so a few pictures taken. But you, Wayne and Cody, you guys probably saw a little bit of that, right?
Oh yeah. When I was went down the dirt road somewhere, and my wife got totally on the ball.
I don't think I want to know what you're talking about there, Wayne, but it's all good. We today, oh man, this is a great subject. Wayne, I appreciate you. You seem to be like the master of these topics. So all credit goes, all hail to the great Wayne for coming up with this and many of the topics on the Prog stream. And today's is a real good one, man. It's your Mount Rushmore of prog rock guitarists. Should we include, non-prog guys? Well, I'll let everybody explain their logic, so to speak, Scott, on how they put their lists together. I think we should start with you because you've got some actual graphics and stuff like that, and it's stressing me out. And I think I'll feel a whole lot better once we rip the Band-Aid off and see if we can muddle through this, and then I can enjoy the rest of today's Sunday Prog stream.
Man, I am so sorry. I didn't want to make you deal with me.
You know what? That's how it's going to be. Scott, you are up first. How you doing today? Tell me what your thinking is here, and let me see here.
Well, okay, I have 3 honorable mentions before I get into the selections. But to me, when you say Mount Rushmore, you think about 4 influential faces carved in enormous relief on the stone out in the middle of out in western South Dakota. And those 4 faces were innovators and founders of something huge, either at the beginning or 100 years or more into it, if you think about one of the faces in particular. So these are important faces. They have weight to their presence on the side of that mountain. So when I think of, first of all, I'm sticking with Prog because it's the Prog corner. So in my own list, these are Prog guitar players. Not that Jimi Hendrix was not a progressive musician. He's not on my list. Not that Edward Van Halen wasn't a progressive musician. He was. He's not on my list. I had a huge list of names that I distilled down, and the final 4 was in flux up till Monday of this week. It took me that long to really get a feel for this. So these are innovators in my mind in the field of progressive rock and prog, as we have come to know it and love it today. My honorable mentions, and these are honorable mentions. Okay, there's 3 of them. At number 3, I've got Greg Lake from my favorite band, Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Nice. Influential not only in Emerson, Lake and Palmer, but of course, obviously, the first King Crimson record, recognized by many of us as the first true progressive rock album. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but certainly it was one of the first. Number 2, I have Steve Morse of the Dixie Dregs and Kansas and Flying Colors, and just such a skillful musician, a complete musician, not just a guitarist. He plays all instruments involved with his bands and composes for them. And and then my number 1 honorable mention, very near and dear to my heart, Alex Lifeson from Rush. Alex at one point was in my Mount Rushmore. I am such a big Rush fan. But I went with, I drew a line at needing guitar players who had influenced other progressive musicians. Most of the names on my top 4 were influences on Alex. So he came after them. And that was my rationale for my list. Take it or leave it. That's what I came up with. So at number 4, you ready, Scott?
I'm ready. Let's give this a whirl, man.
At number 4, the dictator, the man with the red eye staring down on all of Middle Earth, Mr. Robert Fripp. At number 4. What can you say about Robert? A singular musician and individual. One of the masterminds behind Court of the Crimson King. Truly a landmark in musical history, not just progressive rock history. Powerful, dynamic, and that was the start of his career. That was the beginning. That's what is stunning about Fripp.
You want to justify Greg Lake's inclusion in your honorable mentions to Tony? Tony might be thinking Greg was just a bass player.
Greg was an exquisite guitar player. He and Robert actually went to the same guitar instructor.
Yes, they did.
And learned very similar techniques. And Greg's electric guitar work, it's all over Carnival 9. It's all over Tarkus. I mean, he did plenty of fantastic electric guitar work. And on into his solo career, Greg did astounding guitar work. Probably not as influential. He isn't, in my own defense, he is in my honorable mentions because there are, the top 4 that I've chosen were the choices that I chose. Anyway, Robert Fripp, I mean, he follows up Court of the Crimson King with all those wonderful King Crimson albums, and they are all wonderful for one reason or another. In my view, there is no such thing as a bad King Crimson record. They all have reasons to delight in them, and a lot of that has to do with Robert. I'm particularly fond of the 80s output, the 3 colored albums, Discipline, Beat, 3 of a Perfect Pair. Absolutely stunning work. So my number 4 is Mr. Robert Fripp.
Nice.
At number 3, from one of my very favorite bands ever, a man who I just saw in March from the front row, and at his age, he is still a stunningly exquisite musician and surrounds himself with the most powerful band. Mr. Steve Hackett.
Yeah.
From Genesis and other times. What an astonishing solo career. If you set aside his Genesis work, which is considerable, no other guitarist in the history of progressive music that I can think of has the width and breadth of solo output that Hackett has. And it's just astonishing to me because I am still discovering his solo catalog. I've recently fallen in love with the Squacket record that he did with Rick Squire. What a unique and wonderful moment in time. I am so happy and feel blessed, honestly, that those two guys got together and made a record, because it just absolutely astounding record, I think. And you know, hit the show that we saw in March, you know, Craig Blundell on drums. God, I could listen to that guy play by himself. What an astoundingly musical musician. But his entire band, you know, Nad Sylvan and some of the other names are escaping me.
Nick Beggs.
Nick Beggs, thank you. I just finished reading Hackett's autobiography, which is
Rob Townsend, Roger King.
Yes, Roger. Yes. It's called A Genesis in My Bed, and it's a very pleasant, easy read, and it's very well put together. So anyway, my number 3, Steve Hackett. Moving along, and this guy was at number 1 for quite a while in my process of putting this list together, and that would be the maestro, Mr. Steve Howe from Yes. I will put him just slightly ahead of Hackett, and that was a battle, honestly. These two guys, I mean, by this time next week, I might have changed my mind. They're just astonishingly innovative and unique. Howe was a guy who is, and continues to be fearless in his choices, whether you like them or not, whether you like him or not, whether you like what he does or not. It doesn't matter to me. I call him the maestro out of respect, because what he does is singular. You know, in all fairness and honesty, you know, not just for business reasons, but I have to believe that, you know, when Steve gets promoted, let's say, I don't see there being a Yes band without Steve. I mean, who do you get to replace that style and that player and that innovative approach to the guitar picture? Not just the guitar as an instrument, the guitar picture. It was all a picture for him, and he used a variety of different colors and flavors to do them, much the same as Steve Hackett. If I had to pick a favorite guitar player between the two, it might be Hackett, but I just loved so much, and still do, everything that Howe did inside Yes and on his own outside stuff too, to enhance. And he was very good at finding a space. When you're in a band with a bull in a china shop like Chris Squire, who is absolutely the biggest noise on stage. I was fortunate to see Yes several times with both of those guys, and Chris was always the loudest damn thing in the room. He was loud. But yet Steve was able to find his voice and his place in history amongst that instrument and the other personalities in that band. So to me, when I sit and think of all of this stuff, this is where I land on Steve Howe at number 2.
Nice. Hey, we got the Prog hat in the house. One of these days we got to bring him in. Do we watch his show? Do we like the Prog hat? I love Edward. I think he's awesome. I think he'd bring some down home. You know, you might be from Florida, Scott, but you're not Dixie, man. You know,
no, I am not. Nope.
Prog hat is so Texas. He's got that Texas drawl. He's awesome. Yeah, I just talked myself into it. We're definitely, yeah, you are a young man. I'm sorry.
Hashtag young. All right. Yeah. I'm up to number 1. This was torture for arriving at number 1, but particularly when after you've thought about your choices and the guitar players that really are important across the spectrum and have done that quality work and have done that work that lasts, then the last filter I had to apply was the stuff that touches me the most. And at the top of that list, it absolutely positively must be Alan Holdsworth.
Oh, good.
Everything that Alan did.
Yeah.
There's never been a player like him, and there never will be another player like him, because most guitar players will have unique and fascinating and astounding approaches to either chordal playing or lead playing. Alan had both down, and not only did he have both down, both sounds are so different that they sound like two different players. He thought like a piano player in his chordal work, and it was beautiful and astounding and fresh and still surprising. Even today, I'm still discovering things about his catalog, not just UK, that was genius. And the other things he did was genius. His solo catalog is genius, all of it. There's no Gilmore for a reason, and I'm not going to soak up a lot of airtime explaining it. But Gilmore is very important to me as a player and musician and writer. But for me, the guy who touches me the most, his playing, his music, what he created touched me the most in the progressive rock world is absolutely Alan Holdsworth. That body of work is so astonishing, you know. He was very influential, very musical, and I actually got to meet him once, and he was just the sweetest guy. My friend and I, Duff Toole, stood and drank beer with him after a show. We saw him in 1987 at a place called Parody Hall in Lawrence, Kansas, and they finished the show, and he was hauling around the synth-axe at the time, and that was quite of a beast of an instrument and had a very impressive sound, and he knew exactly how to use it. But he finished the show and set his guitar down and just kind of strode to the front of the stage, standing there like he was waiting for a cab or something. And my friend Duff says, "I'm going to go talk to him." So we did. We just walked up and struck up a conversation with him, and mostly talked about beer and his fondness for brewing home brews at home. And he was drinking Coors Light for whatever reason, and we had one with him, and it was just the most wonderful thing to meet somebody with such a unique musical vision, and so much a master of, you know, at least in our minds. In his own mind, apparently he hated everything that he ever played. But
hey, Cody, is Jeff Shilka getting on your case about something here?
I'm not sure. I mean, we did a live stream yesterday. Scott Davis was there. We did a live stream on my channel yesterday. And I guess Jeff made a comment, but I haven't checked it. I haven't really checked it much since yesterday. So I kind of plan to go do that after this.
I think what happens here, dear friends, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I am very, very good about returning and replying to comments. You know, not everybody has, you know, that time on their hands. Maybe Cody was busy. I don't know, Jeff.
I'm actually
we know he's a good guy. That's why he's on the live stream every Sunday, Jeff.
I'm actually pretty good. I'm actually pretty good with getting back to comments fairly quickly, but sometimes, you know, it just happens. You get occupied, but I always come back and I check them regardless.
It happens. We're messing with you.
Well,
anyway,
let me get my last slide in there.
You've got a last little epilogue you're in the middle of that I interrupted there.
No, I just, number one was Alan Holdsworth. I just wanted to wish everybody happy Mother's Day, and and greatly embarrass myself publicly in front of the entire world with a photograph of myself.
You ready?
And
ready for it? Are we ready?
Oh,
Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, look at that.
There we go.
Oh. Me with my tongue out, of course. Anyway, my mom got promoted in 2007, so I miss her very much. And Mother's Day is always a time of reflection for me. And I just want to wish everyone out there a happy Mother's Day. And I hope you all get to spend some quality time with your own mothers.
Yes, thank you,
That's
Scott.
Very nice thing to say, Scott.
And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Tara, you're not a mom, are you?
Oh, no. God, no.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Whoa. In no universe am I a mom. Okay. All righty. So that was a great list, Scott. You always bring the goods. You brought visual aids and everything. That turned out a little better than I was fearing it would. So We got that figured out. We're big time into here, man. We're all professional and whatnot. Here in Prog Corner Sunday Prog Stream, where next up, it's going to be Wayne's turn at bat, and he's going to regale us with, first of all, I want to know what you Canadians know about, Mount Rushmore anyway. Do you know the 4 faces on that mountain? You probably know 3 of them. Who's the 4th one?
Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln.
Exactly.
Roosevelt.
Yeah. Roosevelt.
Yeah.
The other one. Yeah, not FDR, the other one, Teddy. That no one can tell you what he did, but yeah. Anyway, Wayne, what do you got for us? I'm excited. Because this is your topic. You've had the most time of any of us, to come up with your top 4. So, Wayne, without any further ado.
Well, Scott, I decided for this one, like we did a previous Mount Rushmore episode. So if they were on that Mount Rushmore, I instantly said, you know what, I'm going to choose 4 different people. So that instantly removed David Gilmour and Frank Zappa for me.
Okay.
But
no Zappa, no Gilmour.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I thought, you know what, 4 guitar players, and I thought prog. But then I had a little bit of an epiphany where it's like, how about people that could fit the prog sphere, but also kind of transcended prog as well?
Also, hey, before you get going in full steam ahead mode, Wayne, it's the great Versa in the house today. Matthew from Versa. I don't know if you guys have checked out your fellow countrymen yet, Cody, Wayne. He's over there in British Columbia, so maybe you consider that a different world, a different country. But Versa, absolutely amazing, man. Check them out if you haven't. Great band. Thanks for joining the show. We appreciate you. Continue, Wayne. I'm sorry.
For the first name on my list, when you're talking about guitar heroes, guitar legends, people that truly innovated on the guitar, one name just kept constantly coming up to me, and that would be the legendary Jeff Beck.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with that.
Like,
Yep, love him.
Yeah.
listening to him play, watching him play, Jeff Beck got more out of just one thumb than a ton of guitar players had out of their entire career. And to think he went from the Yardbirds, then formed the Jeff Beck group with Rod Stewart, solo career. He's worked with virtually everybody, Roger Waters. When Prince passed away, they had him play the solo on Purple Rain for a tribute show. Like, probably one of the most not only critically acclaimed guitar players, but also had the chops to back it up. Jazz fusion, you want to do that, Jeff Beck can do it. He was virtually a chameleon on the guitar. And went back this week and listened to Blow by Blow and Wired. Absolutely phenomenal record.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
2 of the best records ever recorded.
Like, just an amazing, amazing guitar player. Next guitar player on my list is, I was thinking about chameleons and guys who could kind of do it all, start to finish. You want blues, he can do that. You want hard rock, he can do it. You want heavy metal, shredding, whatever you really want. Next choice for me, number 2, is Gary Moore.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
One of the most versatile guitar players I've ever heard.
Up the Paddies.
You know about that.
And listening to Gary, and he could do all this stuff, but there was still that melody there where at times you can hear guitar players and they kind of just do stuff for the sake of it and they kind of lose the plot. Gary Moore always kind of had that where it felt like melody for him was in there as well. And just an absolutely killer guitar player.
Some of my favorite stuff that he ever did was the live things that, well, just in the studio as well, but there's some live recordings of him with Greg Lake's band. There are just astonishing. That guy was so gifted, so melodic and powerful.
Yeah, played with Thin Lizzy, Coliseum 2, Greg Lake's band. phenomenal.
Yeah.
The third name on my list kind of follows the same thing, but I started listening to him this year, and to quote Matt Brown, Cody, you've heard him say this, once you go down this rabbit hole, it is a rabbit hole that you can stay in for a while. Santana. The listening to him play, and a lot of these guitar players kind of have the same thing where they are kind of chameleons, where he fused jazz, Latin music, kind of psychedelic space rock all together into just this weird thing. And listening to him is astounding, and just some of the tones he was able to get. But he was also a guy who understood to let a lot of the other people in his band shine as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
I went back and listened to a few of his albums from the 70s, and I was just blown away how good they are. And I'm like, how did I not listen to Santana earlier?
Yeah, they're
Just
awesome. Abraxas
would be
is a
right.
great album.
Number 4 and final one on my list was really, really hard to come up with who is the last one to put on Mount Rushmore. But when you think about the idea of concept album and telling stories through music, and also influencing entire generations afterwards, how can Pete Townsend of The Who not be on
Ooh, wow.
the Mount Rushmore?
Nice.
You ask tons of punk bands who their influence was, The Who. Pete Townsend's raw energy really filtered through that, but you're listening to stuff like The Who sells out, Tommy, Quadrophenia, Who's Next, Who Are You, and all his compositional awareness to write a lot of this stuff, but also have these elements. And I heard Andy Edwards talking about The Who and saying, like, these are elements that should not necessarily go together, but they all work together. And Pete Townsend, for me, like, wow, what a phenomenal guitar player. At times feels sloppy, but it's interesting to always listen to him. Couple honorable mentions. Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
You talk about guys who moved a lot of guitars and influenced a whole lot of guys. Jimmy Page has to be on there. And one more newer one, I'd probably put for probably the last 30 years or so, I'd probably put Steven Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Great pick. Awesome.
Nice.
Why
Because some of his solos, especially that, I believe it's Dark Matter off of Signify or whatever, that solo at the end of that album is phenomenal.
Crazy.
But his ability to also add, just in the middle of a song, to go from like psych rock to pop rock, back to psych, go over here, and it's all throughout.
It's
one
amusing.
song.
It's amusing to think that Steven does not consider himself a guitar player at all. He
Yeah.
doesn't. When he says things like that, I go, "What?
What?
What is that?"
Man, just going through these comments, people, it's just unbelievable. How do you pick only 4 names to carve into this round? They can't be done.
I had to narrow the focus.
Guthrie Govan, John McLaughlin, all these names. So this is good. This is good. And now we're going to get to the heart of the matter. We're going to find out the real answers from Cody. Who else? Who else knows about who the best guitar players are than a drummer? So this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
People don't usually give that much credence into what the drummer thinks. So I'm glad you do. Thank you.
True.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to start off with my honorable mentions. Of course, David Gilmour. The There's so many. There's so many. Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck. I mean, some people, you know, Scott, I know you said you made 2 lists. Some were prog only, some were like, so one list was prog only, one list was not prog. So I'm like, oh gosh, Michael Schenker, Kirk Hammett, James Hetfield, Dave Mustaine, all those people can go on my non-prog list, but I made a prog list specifically for the Prog Corner, right? And David Gilmour was close. He was in it yesterday, but he just got a little bit edged out for a guy that might be on my t-shirt. But we'll get to him in a minute. I'm going to start off with one of the most influential players. He actually, his band has been a big influence on all of the modern prog rock and metal bands. That's Tool, Opeth, Dream Theater. All those bands pray to guys like Robert Fripp. This is the Steven Wilson remix, if anyone was interested.
That's awesome.
It's, you know, I mean, listen to what came after King Crimson, like in the likes of bands like Tool and things like that, and you can totally hear where they got a lot of their sound. I mean, Tool even toured with King Crimson for a while there, but Robert Fripp's approach to the guitar is totally out of left field, and no one had done it the way he had done it before he did. And so with the echo things and stuff that he would do, I think James Labrie is a good guitarist. Another, you know, he's just amazing. The sounds he would get and his techniques, and I remember hearing a story about Adam Jones from Tool asking him about his rig and all that, and Robert Fripp goes, "None of that matters, man. It's all about the attitude." And he's kind of right. I mean, just the way the way he attacks the guitar is basically the sound that you get when he's not feeding it through echo machines and all that stuff, right? Like frame by frame and all that. But Robert Fripp. And who do we got next?
We agree there.
I'm gonna go Steve Howe. I'm gonna go Steve Howe, and I pulled out this Yes songs because it's a cool package.
Oh my
God. Unassailably cool. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Steve was really on top of his game here, especially in this period of the band. He was really just doing something. He really had a way of working around what Chris Squire did. And he knew when to take the stage, like when to take the forefront of the stage, and when to just complement what else was going on in the mix. And everything he did, especially at this time, was done absolutely perfectly. Like even his guitar tones and his guitar sound was just awesome. And in 70s Yes here.
Angry. He sounded angry.
Yes, well, I think he was.
He played dangerous. He doesn't play dangerous anymore. He plays very safe now. It was always on, like, just a little bit, a millimeter away from going completely off the rails. There's that frenetic, just young man energy. Oh, yeah. Early Steve Howe, forget about it.
I agree with you, and and that is a topic that I could fill up a whole video talking about. But the attitude here with his playing, but then he could totally change it and do something totally on the other side of the coin, like turn of the century or something. I mean, he's rocking out heavy here, but then they went back and did Tales from Topographic Oceans, and he wrote most of that album with John Anderson. So he is a really multifaceted, multi-talented guitar player who he has very many faces to his approach to the guitar. And his personality behind his playing. There's so much to him. There's so much more than probably what meets the eye at first glance. But when you do a deep study of what Steve Howe is about, there's a lot there to uncover. And still to this day,
he's a transformer more than meets the eye.
He can do everything, and he has done everything. I mean, God, he was in Asia. Listen to that. Listen to the guitar tone on the Asia record. Bow, 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 bow. Like just right up, you put the needle on the first Asia album, and he just kicks you right in the face, And that's probably the side of Steve that we miss, but he's older now, and it just approaches and things like that change. So It is what it is, but we still have him, and we have all the music that he's made. Holdsworth, what?
Yeah.
No, come on.
Ian, we love you,
Holdsworth
Ian.
bores me.
Yeah.
Holdsworth bores
You're a
me.
great friend of the show, Ian, but okay.
Oh.
Holdsworth
Okay.
bores me.
Okay.
That's a clear invitation to the dance.
I got 2 words. Nevermore, UK.
Absolutely.
My number 2 could be pretty much number 1, but you'll see why number 1 is number 1 in a minute. Steve Hackett. Again, like you guys said, there is no guitar player who has covered as much ground in the progosphere as Steve Hackett has done. He has done blues albums, he's done metal albums, he's done classical albums, he's done prog albums, he's done all of them. He's got like 30 solo albums out. He's putting out, gosh, there was a time even just 2 years ago where he had 2 records in the same year and a tour. So he is the most prolific musician, and I'd argue that 95% of his output is very, very good. That new album is astonishing. I really like it a lot. I know some people are not, not necessarily the biggest fans, but I love it. I think that The Circus and the Night Whale is one of the best records that he's done. I love the concept of it, but I like a lot of his new stuff, like Wolf Light, and even before that. But he's just amazing, and he can shred with the best of them, and he can also sit back. Like, he knows when to, go Eddie Van Halen on the neck, and he knows when to, sit back. And, sometimes actually he's so into letting the other guys play. I've seen him live a million times that he'll just sit on the drum riser and let the other guys take over,
Oh, wow.
Like in the middle section of Firth the Fifth, when it just drops, the band drops out and it's just the keyboards. Steve will either like leave the stage or just kind of sit off in the corner and just let the other guys take it, and then he'll come in and ease his way back into the mix, right? But he's a very dynamic player, and he's influenced a lot of people like Eddie Van Halen and so on and so forth. Actually, Eddie cites Seconds Out as a big influence on him. And, rightfully so. Ed's a great player, and so is Steve Hackett. I mean, there's no way around it. Steve is
so is Paco de Lucia. Good call, Jordi Planos. Awesome call. Big fan.
Steve is a true gentleman, and I've had the pleasure of interviewing him before, and he's one of the nicest people I've ever met him tons of times. And Scott has actually interviewed him before, too. If you haven't seen Scott's interview, you got to go back in the Prog Corner, check it out. A little push there for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That was an awesome segment.
That was a really awesome segment, and I hope that you can get him back sometime. But yeah, so this is from the first time I met Steve back in November of 2015. I was just newly 17 years old.
Okay, you're a baby. Little baby.
I'm pushing 26 now.
Just a little baby, Cody.
And my number 1. Again, any of these could be number 1. It is all on Mount Rushmore, right? But
yeah, that's right.
Frank Zappa. And of course, I went with his instrumental guitar album, right? Shut up and play your guitar.
Good call.
This man has done everything imaginable with music that you could possibly have done while he was alive. Not only is he an exquisite guitar player, as is evident here, but he's arguably the greatest composer that rock and roll has ever seen. Sometimes it's not even rock and roll. Sometimes it's freeform jazz. Sometimes it's blues. Sometimes it's comedy. Sometimes it's really heavy. Sometimes it's fusion. It's all of this stuff. And sometimes it's just rock. And it's Frank Zappa. There's not really a label you can put on him. I mean, it is prog in the sense that it does progress very much. But he was progressing right from the first album. I mean, my God. I was doing my radio show last night on Deep Nuggets Radio, and I put on Who Are the Brain Police. And
nice.
You know what? That song can bring you so much joy while scaring the crap out of you at the same time. So, yeah, Frank for the win. I mean, he also hand wrote all the compositions for all the instruments within his band. I mean, imagine writing out the Black Page. Imagine charting that out for like the xylophone. He did it.
He did it.
He did it, and he he was just always he was always working. Music was his number one muse. I mean, it was music over everything. I mean, really it was. And all of his kids sort of followed suit. I mean, Moon Unit sings vocals on Valley Girl. And Dweezil, you know, we all know that guy named Dweezil, right? Dweezil Zappa. He's definitely as talented as his father, although I've never really heard a lot of his compositional things, but he can certainly play like a madman. I mean, you know, Frank and Eddie Van Halen were hanging out a lot at the time when Dweezil was growing up, and so they were both giving him guitar lessons left, right, and center. And oh yeah, Dweezil, awesome guy. But Frank is the man. Frank is the man. Frank has done it all. He only lived to be 52, but in that 52 years of life, you know how much ground that he broke within the music realm and the progosphere. So Frank is it, man. Frank is arguably
Frank is kind of in a league of his own, isn't he? I mean, it's really hard. When I was breaking it down, Cody, I was like, I got my prog guitar players, I got my non-prog guitar players.
It's interesting for me because I've been into Zappa for a long time, but I never consider him a guitar player. I don't know why, because his guitar playing is astonishing. I've always considered him something bigger than that because of what Cody's talking about. So that's why, I mean, he was way down my list because the guys that I picked were guys that I think of as guitar players. I have no idea why I don't think of Zappa that way.
Maybe more as the band leader.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I don't think of Todd Rundgren as a guitar player.
Frank,
probably the same exact
no slouch.
Yeah.
Frank was kind of like Miles Davis in a sense, where you knew that he had his finger on the button. The band is the button, and Frank had his finger on it. But there was times where he knew, like Steve Hackett, like I was just saying, there was times when Frank knew. You can hear it on Roxy and elsewhere, and Zappa in New York, and all those live albums where the band was just going off. He knew when to just leave the stage and just let them have. Like, I'm pretty sure Frank would just stand off in the back, you know, away from the lights and all that, and just let Bozio and Chester Thompson and Ruth Underwood and all those people just go at it, you know. And he would come back when he knew to come back, but he wasn't afraid. And Miles Davis is a good example because Miles Davis did this a lot. There's so many Miles Davis bits where, you know, it's largely John McLaughlin and the other guys in the band just going at it. And he knew when to take the back seat, and he knew when to come up front, and he knew when to go back. And that's really important. And, you know, these guys are not like, you know, Steve Hackett and Steve Howe and all these great players that we're mentioning are not in the forefront all the time.
What about Mark Knopfler?
Amazing.
Yes. I love Mark. I love Mark's solo work.
What an incredible guitar player.
Yeah.
And to me, Dire Straits had enough proggy moments.
Yeah,
They weren't a prog band per se,
Still
but they're proggy enough. Throw them in there. Why not?
Love Over Gold, I've heard, is a very prog album. I've yet to hear it, but I've heard it's very proggy.
I'm a particularly big fan of his later stuff, Sailing to Philadelphia, and I mean, such a great songwriter. I mean, putting on one of his later period solo records is like a fine cognac. It just rolls over the tongue, and it's relaxing, but it's powerful. I love me some Mark Knopfler.
Yeah, awesome stuff. But you know what's even better than Dire Straits, Scott?
Terra.
It's Terra all the way from the Toonies. I don't even know, from like some small, tiny little corner of Ireland where you got to like drive like 3 hours just to get to some small little town that actually has water. And then they got to stand there for hours and pump from some ancient well. And, you know, when the car breaks down, they're carrying jugs of water all the way back to their, I mean, you make it sound like you're way out in the middle of nowhere. Is it like that, Tara? Or
pretty much, yeah.
Tara's about to bring the house down, man.
Yeah, she is. Tara's ready to bring the thunder, man. Nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is more on fire than Spinning Prog right now. They are the hottest channel on YouTube. They are up and comers. Every one of their videos gets amazing numbers, and why not when it's Tara and her dad? Just amazing stuff. Congratulations. All the success for your channel, Tara. And I know you're going to bring nothing but fire here on this Sunday Prog stream.
Yes.
Now you got to perform.
I know. But let me just start off by saying this was really difficult. So props to you, Wayne, for coming up with this topic. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been sitting here with a pen and paper ticking off names as you're saying them. Because I was thinking I could approach this with it's kind of like set in stone, the Mount Rushmore of prog guitars. It's like the big six. It's Steve Howe, Steve Hackett, Robert Fripp, Dave Gilmore. There's a few more you could put in there. So I was like, okay, Scott usually gets me on to do something different. Yeah. Variety is the spice of life. So I'm here with my different names. I have a good few honorable mentions, so I'm going to get right into that. Steve Rothery of Marillion.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic guitar player. Sugar Mice is probably the most prominent one that comes to mind right now. Fantastic.
Easter. Yeah.
Easter. I hate to agree with Cody about Easter, but
Guthrie Gavin.
Yes.
Oh,
that solo in Drive Home was something else. Like, this guy, he needs to get more credit. Like,
disgusting.
He's in
Terry
the Aristocrats, isn't he?
Chicago, who unfortunately shot himself in the head. Fair play to you, Terry. Richie Blackmore, who used to play back in the day with Joe Meek, which was probably horrendously traumatic, but goes to show how much production stuff he learned from him, because he is incredible at what he does.
Hey, do you think Bella's talking about the number of likes on this stream? He probably is. We got 63 people watching, only 29 likes. You know what to do, people.
That like button there. I'll come through this stream.
Come on.
Michael Holmes of IQ, especially on the title track of Frequency when he comes in with the Mellotron.
Yeah.
Mick Box of Uriah Heep. Now, we all know I have a little bit of an obsession with Mick Box because I ran up to him and nearly pulled him off the stage. But anyway. Jan Ackerman of Focus.
I was wondering when somebody was going to mention the great
I had to. I mean, come on, like, he's unreal. Omar Rodriguez Lopez from the Mars Volta.
Wow.
Oh my God. Incredible guitar player. Pi Hastings of Caravan.
Yes.
Brilliant. Yep. We have this guy, Franco Musida of PFM.
Yep.
Incredible.
Oh, I thought that was REM for a second. I was gonna. Oh, okay.
Really nice here, Cody.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna get into my 4. All right, I'm gonna finally get in, and I'll stop talking then. Steve Hillage.
Yeah.
I love Steve Hillage. I think he's absolutely incredible. I think he's really underrated, especially this album, which was produced and engineered by Todd Rundgren, another incredible guitar player. But his work on this with Steve Hillage is, brilliant. And you can tell it was Todd Rundgren because he has the big pyramid on it. Next, and also Wayne, thank you for saying Gary Moore, because he doesn't get noticed enough for the work he did with Coliseum 2 and Greg Lake and everything. He actually played beneath himself in Thin Lizzy, and as an Irish person, saying that kind of hurts because I love Thin Lizzy, but he was just capable of so much more.
Yep.
John McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Lads, he's just on another level. I mean, this album particularly, anytime I put it on, I'm like sitting in the chair going, oh my God, like nearly having a seizure. He's incredible. Please, like, you can't argue with me on that one. Martin Barr of Jethro Tull. Very recognizable man. It's a pity him and Ian Anderson aren't playing together. Ian Anderson, cop on to yourself. And last but not least, the fabulous Andy Latimer. Could bring a tear to your eye like that with guitar playing. He can make that guitar talk. He is incredible. So yeah, that's all my picks. I just wanted to represent the guys that you wouldn't really think of off the top of your head when you're thinking of the Mount Rushmore of prog guitarists.
Pie Hasting.
And I'm sure I've left out people as well, and there's probably people in the comments going mad, like, oh, what are you on about? What about this guy? Look, I've driven myself mad enough already with this topic. I can only take so much.
Wonderful list, Tara. Wonderful.
That was an awesome list.
Thank
That
you.
was a great list. I gotta say, you always deliver the goods, and you were absolutely right. I kind of wanted you to go a little different direction because I'm looking at my list. I'm like, come on, everybody's gonna know what my list is. I'm the most boring man in the world. I'm a 61-year-old white Anglo-Saxon Protestant American married. Hetero, give me a break, man. I'm the boringest, most whitest person on earth. So we need to spice it up here. We need a little flavor, right?
I want to add some. I want to add some commentary. Tara, that was an amazing list. And you mentioned Martin Barr from Jethro Tull. That band does not sound the same without him. You can actually hear the spots where he would be playing, but he's not because he's not in the band. Their new records are okay, but you can hear where he would be playing. That's how great he was.
Absolutely. That's why I say Ian Anderson, cop on to yourself.
Per Nielsen, I absolutely, I'm not a big fan of the shredder guys, right? So I'm not a big Scar Symmetry fan, but when Roina left Kaipa and some cat by the name of Per Nielsen from some black metal band named Scar Symmetry came in, I was very skeptical. Boy, was I wrong. He fits like a glove. It's absolutely amazing how he and Hans Luden's keyboards kind of lock in. Some of the best prog I've ever heard. Yeah, Per Nielsen, good call. Thank you, Ken Jones, for that. But we have got a very, very, very exciting person who's up next. Zoltan, your second appearance. I can't believe you decided to come back after the first one, man.
Why wouldn't I? I had a fantastic time.
We were hitting you pretty hard there, but it's all because we absolutely know, and we expect nothing but greatness from you, Zoltan. But before you get going, Rich, Adrian Smith. Now,
Oh, yes.
I prefer Dave Murray. How about that? I love Dave. I love Dave's sound. I love his style. I love Adrian. Come on. I don't even think Yannick Garris is amazing. Don't get me started on Maiden, right, Cody?
Have you heard the album that Adrian Smith did with Richie Kotzen from the Winery Dogs?
Yes.
That's excellent.
It is
really
good,
man. Really. Anything Maiden related. We could go on. We've done that already.
We have.
We've done that stream already. But yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, from the Prog Connection and Benjamin's Kite, it's none other than the great Zoltan. Vamos, Zoltan. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. So I didn't actually have I didn't have a definitive list. I have a prog guitarist list, and I have any guitarist list, and I have a few honorable mentions. I'm not exactly sure where to begin, but I think I'll end with honorable mentions. I'll start with any guitar player because there are ones that I just look at and I'm just like, I know that I want to put these on my prog guitar players list. And one was, I swapped it up because let's face it, he did only do the one true album that I can name that was really prog in UK, of course. And then he went on and did a lot of jazz fusion. But I'm going to start off my list with a jazz fusion guitar player. Very noteworthy, very he's won a lot of awards. And a very big innovator in both acoustic guitar playing. He's got one of the biggest guitars I've ever seen. Pat Metheny.
No.
Yes.
You got to.
Yes, man. Yes.
Damn right.
You listen. I had the amazing pleasure of seeing him live once, and it was insane. Absolutely incredible. The guy can play. And he's so piercing. He's got a tone, and he's got a sound like I can't find anyone who can truly replicate that sound.
Nope.
He's
one
very
of those guys. You're right. It's like Carlos Santana, in like 0.5 seconds he was playing. He's that guy.
Love Pat Metheny. Love him.
Not just on his solo stuff, but the Pat Metheny group. I love that solo album with the keyboard player. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Wichita Falls.
Oh, of course, that one's beautiful. I love Lyle Mays, and I mean, Dad would he would fall over his head on a heartbeat for that guy. But Pat Metheny is incredible, and there was another album by a guitar player, keyboard player, and I just can't remember what it was, but he did a album with him and a quartet album, I believe, with this guy as well, and it was really good stuff on that one too. So just a technical guitar player, really stylistic, and really just he's such a guitar player that you recognize him as soon as you hear him.
Are you thinking of Charlie Hayden?
I think hold on.
Is it Charlie Hayden?
I think that might be who he's talking about.
Metheny. Was it?
He did a lot of work with Charlie Hayden.
He did Metheny, was it I'm sorry. I'm gonna look just to be safe. I think that's one of the names, at least. Meldo.
There you go.
That was it. Sorry. I'm very sorry about that.
No,
that's all good, man.
It's on the live stream, Zoltan. No problem.
I have him. Sorry. I have him.
No worries at all.
My second pick. He's on both, but I'm going to just explain it on the Prog guitarist list because of his innovation there. But Steve Hackett, gotta have him there. Very innovative. Just we'll get to that in a second. I did put Alan Holdsworth here as well because of, again, just incredible on electric guitar and acoustic, and of course on the syntax, on not just one album, but on just a lot throughout the rest of his career. I mean, I think Flat Tire is mostly syntax.
Tabacron was mostly syntax.
Yeah, that one too. I believe Warding Cliff Tower had a lot of syntax too.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think can't remember the name of the it was Hard Hat Area too.
Yep.
And the album directly after that, which is a bunch of jazz covers, None Too Soon, that was it. That was the name.
There you go.
And that one's just very obvious to me. And one who's just been who's collaborated with many musicians and done his own work with one of the most prolific hard rock bands, hair metal bands, I guess you could say, Eddie Van Halen.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's I don't know how many people you'll run into who don't know the name Eddie Van Halen. That's about as easy to put it as you can put it, I think.
That's true.
I don't know anyone who doesn't know the name. But now let's get on to Prog guitar players. Because
there we go. This is what the people want, man. They're
of course.
For this.
Of course, we'll start off the list with Steve Hackett. Of course, Genesis. Of course, his solo work.
Good man.
It's hard to go wrong with a guy like that, especially when you have the technicality that he has, the style that he has, and he was very good at not just writing his own material, but also contributing to Genesis songs as well. His later solo career, which I'm always a fan of, I love his Genesis Revisited album. That one's fantastic. Some of those covers are great. Again, some of the newer ones are also really excuse me, he's got a style down now, and you can tell that it's just he's got it down. He knows who he is and how to play his style on every single album while changing it up a little bit. He does progress all the time. He's very good just throughout his entire career. I can't name a part where I've heard him be like, okay. He's always noteworthy with his extraordinary technique. Of course,
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm sorry. Andy Latimer, next.
Yeah. Woo.
Camel, unbelievable. Unbelievable. You can't get much better for me when it comes down to, because he did a lot of different stylistic changes with Camel alone.
Yeah.
You look at Mirage, the first two Camel albums are so many times different than Moon Madness and Snow Goose, which are more on the light and more just kind of more pastoral side in that regard. Then you get to Breathless and Rain Dances, and it's near Canterbury because you have Richard Sinclair. And of course, I Can See Your House From Here, Nude, Single Factor, a little bit more on the poppy side, while also still remaining prog on Nude. Great album, Nude. Amazing. And then he kind of went back into the just doing prog with Stationary Traveler and Onward. And I'm excited to see if he actually does release any new albums with Camel. I've heard that's a possibility, but I don't know.
That would be nice. I'm not holding my
I would
breath.
love that. I'm yet to hear Ray Jazz. I really want to hear it. I've heard it's one of the better albums that was released later in the Camel discography. But next, I'm gonna go with another. This is who I would say, as much as I would. There are two, technically Steve Hackett's in the neo-prog movements. Steve Rothery of Marillion, but I picked Michael Holmes of IQ.
There you go.
Who I would say is slightly more on that Steve Hackett side of neo-prog, right? Listen to the stuff on Frequency. What song was it? I can't exactly remember, but it sounds like a solo off of Please Don't Touch. Please. He's quite literally, in my mind, the neo-prog Steve Hackett. And while that's not exactly innovative, it's taking his own style and fusing it with probably, based on style, probably one of his biggest heroes in music, right?
Absolutely, he is. They're great friends.
That makes total sense. That makes sense. Plus, IQ's got so many changes throughout their career too, where they started with being pretty neo-prog straight up. Then they got with Paul Menel and a little bit more on the little more accessible side while still being proggy. Then Peter Nichols came back and they just went from neo-prog to heavier prog, and they just evolved from there. And Michael Holmes has never backed down from a challenge when it comes down to writing these albums, and he's remained stylistically consistent while also changing. So it's very easy for me to pick him there. And of course, I went with Steven Wilson because modern name, more or less. And again, it's very easy for me to just be like, well, you look at the Sky Move Sideways, Up the Down Stair, Signify, Stupid Dream. All of those are very just. You got the space rock element, but he was going in a more alternative rock direction. You have In Absentia, Dead Wing, and Fear of a Blank Planet. The Incident, I think, is criminally underrated, and I think I also really loved Closer Continuation as well. Saw that tour live. That was a dream concert. That was a dream. And
you have Randy McStein.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Did great on backing vocals.
I'm sorry, boys and girls. If you don't know Randy McStein, you need to do a little bit of homework. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was great. I'm also subscribed to the bass player who was on that tour. And of course, Gavin Harrison, and you also have Richard Barbieri, who was great on that tour. Great, all of that was fantastic. Very prog, and on his solo career, of course, Raven Never Refused to Sing Another Stories, Hand Cannot Erase. Even I would say the Harmony Codex goes back to those prog roots in a way a lot too, right? I need to listen to Grace for Drowning a lot again because I haven't actually finished the album. But
that album is stunning.
Yeah.
It still mystifies me how much I love Grace for Drowning.
I really need to sit down and listen to it. But here we go with my honorable mentions because these ones are just ones that I was like, I have to mention these at least. We're gonna start with Roy Stolt, Flower Kings, Kaipa, See Within, and Anderson Stolt, which I also think is fantastic.
Love that album. Love it.
Yeah, it's close. It's like comparing. It's I would say that album is kind of like a new age Tales from Topographic Oceans in a way, right?
They need to do another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next one on my list is Francis Dunnery.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
like, you gotta have that one on there.
Nice pull. Nice.
Got the guitar. He's got the guitar skills of nearly Alan Holdsworth. Some of those guitar solos on Once Around the World. He's freaking lightning.
Yeah.
That guy can rip.
Yeah.
And of course, he also is, I would say, the closest vocalist that's like sounds like Peter Gabriel in a way. His voice is very trained in that direction. You hear him singing Dancing with the Moonlit Night. It's very uncanny in a way. It's just like, okay, you're sounding a little like Peter there. And his guitar playing is also, again, just ridiculous. And
no, you're right. We Ian was talking about It Bites never gets mentioned. It never gets mentioned on this channel, actually, but we need to do something about that. Have you heard the new album?
Oh yeah, Return to Natural is fantastic.
Yes.
I thought my favorite song was We're Going to Clean the Sea. That's fantastic. So classic It Bites too, in a way, too.
Yeah.
And just classic Francis Dunnery, I thought. It's very good. I'm excited to see if It Bites does anything new with John Mitchell. I really, really, really hope so. But we'll see, right? The next one on my list, live guitar player, and I loved seeing this, and I love his work with I heard it on some Jean-Luc Ponty albums, and great guitar player, Daryl Sturmer.
Yep.
I love Daryl. Very good guitar player, I always thought. And as much as I know that there are solos that he does, and I'm just like, you can't really replace Steve Hackett, but man, you do a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
The one guitar solo that I thought was so amazing was the live version of Duke's Travels. And I thought that was so good. The 2007 version of the Genesis medley, I was, that is pure gold. I thought that's brilliant.
Very good. He's a good bass player too.
Oh, yeah, he is actually. I couldn't remember that part. By the way, little local name, by the way, unknown. I wanted to give this guy a little bit of a shout. Nick Johnston, absolutely fantastic. From the Ontario area,
right on.
He is releasing an album, I believe, and he's very methane. Got the style down. He's got like the prog hard rock aspect. He's very technical, very good. If you like kind of the more jazz fusion with a little bit of prog and rock aspect, he's very good. And of course, thank you, Scott, for this suggestion, because as soon as I was off the air with you guys, I was just like, I need to give this a listen. So I did. Kevin Gilbert.
Yes,
he's on the list. I got it. I had to. I was like, I had to find something on YouTube, and then I heard best laid plans, and I was like, okay, this guy can, one, play, and two, sing and write a song.
Yeah.
Yep.
The guy's vocals, I kind of compared it a little bit to Ekelin in a way, but the guitars were very good. And I think he's very technical, got a very good style. He's built for prog in a way. It's too bad that he didn't it's really a shame what happened to the man. Really a shame.
Yeah, it is.
But that's my list. That's my list. I think
amazing.
Thank you.
Great stuff, man.
Absolutely
It's-
amazing,
It's
Zoltan.
the Ontario, man.
Thank you.
Once again, a fantastic list. And yeah, what's going on my computer here?
Oh,
There's one guy that no one has
I
mentioned
got
yet.
something going on here.
yeah.
I never know what's going on during these live streams, but that's half the fun of it, because something could happen at any time. I'm figuring one of these days I'm going to have a power outage, and I don't have a generator, so that would be really interesting how the whole thing would just go away in one fell swoop. But
I've noticed one thing, that all the lists have been amazing, and even with my own, for some reason, no one has picked Michael Ackerfeld from.
I was going to mention him, but I didn't. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, man. Hey,
Well,
I guess I wanted to give a shout out to him because his riffs are amazing, man.
some of those are fantastic. Yeah,
it's
he's
just
got some great
crazy.
licks.
Again, going through the comments, so many great names. And, that was the difficult thing here because, usually we do a top 10 and then we can sneak in a few honorable mentions. Before you know it, you got a top 20 on your hands.
Yeah,
but there's 4 faces on Mount Rushmore. Now, Scott, you had actually brought up a loophole, which I squashed. And you reminded me that Deep Purple's in Rock has 5 faces on it. So, I wanted to squash that right from the get-go. It's 4 faces, and that's what we're doing today. But, this is the Prog corner, so I am putting 4 Prog faces on there. I like Wayne's idea of disqualifying the ones that we did for the, the actual Mount Rushmore of Prog, the 4 biggest names in Prog, but I didn't do that. So I did this. You know what? I did 2 Mount Rushmores, man. I did a Prog one and a non-Prog one. And if you've ever been to Mount Rushmore, there's like this other site where they're building this statue to the great Indian chief, right? Separate from it. I'm doing that for Frank Zappa. He's getting his own statue. I don't know what to do with him. I just don't. I don't know which mountain to put him on. So I'm giving him his own statue. And then over there, over east, we're going to put Jimi Hendrix down. We're carving his face in the non-Prog mountain, and Eddie Van Halen. To me, those are the 2 that are unimpeachable. They have to be there. There's no argument. There's no debate. I don't care if you like their music or not. You can't deny their impact. They're on the mountain. Absolutely. And my other 2, we're going all Yardbirds heavy with Jimmy Page and Jeff Beck. And there you go. I got my non-Prog mountain done. I already built my little mountain for Frank Zappa. Now we're going to the Prog mountain here. And there's no surprises here. Come on, man. There's 4 guys who, if you take Zappa out of the equation, because, he's kind of a genre of his own, right? It's the 2 Steves. It's David Gilmour. It's Robert Fripp, and be done with it. I'm sorry, Jan Ackerman. Oh, every bit as good as those guys, technically. And some sweeps and legato stuff that he was doing way back in 1970. Give me a break. I mean, you talk about innovative. Hackett was innovative. So was Jan Ackerman, but he was in a band called Focus that nobody knew. They knew the one yodeling song, so he's not on there. Andy Latimer, maybe Camel was big in the UK or in Canada or something, but I guarantee you most teenage boys in the 70s grew up without ever hearing not one note of Andy Latimer's greatness. He can't be on Mount Rushmore. Maybe if Mount Rushmore was in the UK, So that's my list. It's Howe, it's Hackett, it's Fripp, and it's Gilmour. And, we got some great shows coming up here, boys and girls. But before we get into the schedule, we are so close to 10,000 subscribers. So as the scroll says at the bottom of the screen, do your thing, subscribe to the podcast, or like this video, etc., etc. But I never shout out the members, right? So I'm going to embarrass a few people and shout out my members here: Rich, Nerez, Jason Budney, who both of whom were on the stream, Random Town, Howard. Oh, Cody. Oh, thank you, Cody. I appreciate that. Paul Phillips, Gert Vanderweef, John Keegan, Raymond Monag. There's only 27 names here. This won't go that long. Chuck in Vegas, who works for Mark from ProgRockEssentials.com. We know who you are. Hokey Boy. Granville Records. Who's that?
Granville Guitars. That's my other.
Granville Guitars.
that's
Who's
me.
that? Scott? Yeah.
That's my day gig. I have a guitar and amp repair business, and that's my other YouTube channel.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate you. We got Maurice Morning, Daniel Fuentes, Michael Benz, Gert Van Leer, Derek Gatley, Rob Stoudemire, Terry Walker, Alume Eltonen, Charles Anderson, Mark Spooner, Mr. Wondrous, Thomas Armstrong, Victor Lazarov, D. Richardson, and Bob Goldstein. My longest serving member. He's been with me almost from day one, which is hard to believe. So thank you very much. If you do like what we do here, consider becoming a member. Otherwise, just do the bare minimum, people, and hit the subscribe button. And if you don't want to do that, just hit the like button to this video. Come on, do your job. I don't ask for much around here. Anyway, people, you know what? Next week might be the very best show we have booked, Cody. I think next week might turn out to be the very best show we've ever done. I am so excited where we are going to do the top 10 Pink Floyd songs. It's going to be Wayne. Can't do the show without Wayne, right? It's going to be Cody. And check this out. We've got Tara coming back next week, don't we? Tara's going to be back on the show next week. And then we've got Amy from Vinyl Time with Amy, her debut on the program, and also the one, the only, the great Matt Brown will be showing up here. And I apologize because I didn't know who he was. As soon as I got clarification on that, like an idiot, the invite went out immediately. My bad. And then May 26th, we are doing the top 10 songs of 1972. That's going to be a good one. And then mark your calendars, boys and girls. You might as well just put your calendar down on this. June 2nd, overrated albums. Our 5 overrated prog albums. The 5 albums that we just don't think are any good at all. Our personal opinion. I know which 5. I've already got my 5 picked. And then on June 9th, this is as far out as we're going, I guess. We're going to, I like the numbers here. The numbers look pretty good. Good interaction in the live chat. So we're going back. We're going to take another bite at the apple. And on June 6th, we're doing the Mount Rushmore of prog rock vocalists. Oh yeah. It's going to be a good time, boys and girls. Absolutely. A wonderful job today. Wayne, what do you got going on this week, man? What's going on? All your rebranding and stuff going on. I don't even know what you have going on anymore on YouTube. I used to know you. I'm confused. What's going on?
So for Foxhole Heat channel reactions, I'm just doing sidelong reactions. I have such a backlog of songs to get through. So I started
Amanda Lehman. There you go. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just answering female prog guitarist.
Yeah. So for today, I just put up the first side of Rod Stewart's A Night on the Town.
Oh, right on.
Which is absolutely beautiful. And
I love
coming
Rod
up,
Stewart.
And for what's the other one I did? And I did the first side of Thin Lizzy, Vagabonds of the Western World.
Ah, that's a good pull.
And for Wayne the Musical Hermit, just kind of going through albums, listening to stuff, figuring out kind of top 10s I want to do. I was thinking of doing the top 10 songs by, who is it? I have it written down here. Yeah. Top 10 songs by Stephen Stills.
Oh.
There we go.
Good call. And yes, we would be remiss not to mention the horrible album cover that John Anderson and the Band Geeks just dropped yesterday. The album's called True. Yeah, we're not poking a finger at Steve Howe and his band or anything with that title. No, of course not. Man, that's the worst looking album cover I've ever seen. I know it was his daughter that did the artwork and the photography. Yeah, she's a good photographer, but save album artwork for the pros. I mean, come on, man. That thing looks like looks like a rapper or something. You know, I have like a grill. It's a terrible album cover, but
like a Christian rap album.
Well, the one thing I do for our overrated albums coming up, I definitely, I know that people have their pitchforks ready. I think, Scott, you might kick me off the prog corner for one of my picks, but gotta tune in to find out what it is.
Oh boy, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. And Scott, I know you've been feverishly working on the third part of the trilogy. Where are we at? Can we announce a release date? What's up?
Yeah, I do have a release date for it. I've got some slides there if you want to share them.
We
don't worry about it.
Absolutely do. Let's do this thing right, man.
Oh, by the way, it's the Crazy Horse Monument in South Dakota.
There you go, Crazy Horse. Thank you. That's my Zappa statue.
That is the T-shirt design from the first album, Surrounded by Ghosts. And I do have some of those available still. If anybody wants one, just get them through Bandcamp. But that's the second album. Pictures from a Previous Dream, released New Year's Eve this last year.
I got the CD right here, man.
Thanks, Cody.
Released New Year's Eve because the man certainly didn't want his album to show up on anybody's best of list.
I couldn't resist the date. The date, if you write it out, it's 123-123, and I just couldn't resist that. Yeah. The Light at the End is the third chapter in what we're calling the Here and There trilogy. I'm working on guitars as we speak. Release date on that is September the 15th of this year. So I'm real excited about it. It ties up the trilogy in a way that's satisfying, and I'm very excited about it. Yeah, it's been a lot of positive reaction to the first two. As a matter of fact, I'm nearly sold out of CDs for Surrounded by Ghosts. I'm going to have to reorder, which is a good problem to have when you're a small independent, like I am. And
it's a good album. They're both really good.
Thank you.
But Surrounded by Ghosts, awesome. Just
thank you very much. So yeah, I'm slaving away on that. Probably work on guitars the rest of this month. Start the mix, and I got some vocal touch-ups to do. I'd like to have it mixed by the end of June, and then I will hand it off to the very talented Alan Douches again, who will do the mixing, or the mastering rather. And I'd also like to announce that after that, in 2025, Alan is going to embark on Dolby Atmos mixes of all three Mythologic albums.
Yes.
So, for those of you who are surround hounds, those will be coming next year. Alan's been on me since I did the first album, because the density of the music is such that he really feels like it will lend itself to that. So tons of stuff going on this year.
Nice.
We're
As always,
here.
exciting stuff. We're really proud to have you on here. That we actually get, a prog musician of your caliber on our little show. It's awesome. Speaking of prog musicians of some note, we got ourselves a little drummer boy in the house. What's going on, Cody? What do you got going on this week?
I've been digging the Mythologic stuff, man. I want to say that Surrounded by Ghosts album is very good.
Thank you.
And I haven't got to spend a lot of time with this one, but I've been digging Surrounded by Ghosts, and I've been playing it on both my radio shows, on Prog Radio and Deep Nuggets Radio, and that's a really good album, man. So
thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
So you play everything on these, right?
Mythologic is me and Alan, basically. I do everything but the mastering.
That's amazing, man. Honestly, that's great.
Jesus Christ, fair play to
you. That's great, man.
So there's no one else to blame but me.
There you go.
For Brockway's Vinyl Bites, we're always keeping busy, I mean, obviously I've been keeping busy with my radio shows as well, with Deep Nuggets and Prog Radio. I've been doing that. But Brockway's Vinyl Bites is happening, so go subscribe to that. We do a live stream every Saturday afternoon. Tara is going to be on the next one. This coming Saturday, we're doing, I think, Scott, you're going to be on it too, right? Scott Davis?
No, this next Saturday I have commitments.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. I knew there was one Saturday that you were out. And
it's the 18th. Okay. Yeah, it's the 18th. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so this Saturday, Tara's going to come on, and with our, I think Lauren will be there and Matt Brown will be there too, and we'll do the top 10 Bowie songs. Then the week after that, we got Martin Popoff coming back. We're going to do the top 10 Queen songs.
Ooh.
So, and then And then so then whatever else happens in between, then I'll probably, I have an old Steve Hackett interview from the Vaults from a couple years ago when he did the Surrender of Silence record. So I might put that up there for viewing. Who knows?
There you go. Nice. Always something exciting from your neck of the woods, whether he's managing his own record store, doing little drum videos, or these amazing live streams. He does his own, which are way better than these. I mean, come on, man.
No.
Watching all of those, not this rinky-dink thing we got going on here, but somehow, some way, I'm able to get such amazing and talented people, such as Tara from Spinning Prog. What's going on, Tara, this week on your channel?
We are going to dive into 1967 in a video. So that's fun. And we are finally going to record our radio show, which is starting on the 22nd of May. We've been putting it off because we're just horrendous procrastinators in this.
I think I've had just about enough of Ian for one day.
Ian is pulling around them comments for the whole live stream. He's been pulling for it all the time.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. That Alan Holdsworth one is the one that got me.
No, I'm mad for it. You know what?
We love you, Ian.
Stop it, Ian. We love you, but come on now.
Demonstrably untrue.
The woman is correct. The woman is right.
And we have people in our comments all the time saying, why do you never talk about modern prog? Like going crazy at us. So we are going to speak to the wonderful Scott Davis of Myth of Logic, Andy Martin of Unit, and we have another independent band talking to us in our comments. So I want to get the three of these guys together and speak to them about independently producing modern prog.
Hey,
and
are you talking about this guy?
This guy here, he's fantastic, another great musician. But if people are so adamant on modern prog, support these independent guys.
Yeah,
agree.
Thank you. Hallelujah.
Agree.
Great independent prog. Zoltan might know a thing or two about that.
I think we do, and I do have the album cover here. We are getting set to release this album this year, Celestial Indulgences. It's almost done recording. We're in the final stages. We're gonna get probably some mixes down, and otherwise, we are going to be doing a little bit more of the Prog Connection. I have 2 episodes out already. We did a review, Les Orla from The Box, which is a Canadian band from Quebec. Very, very dark, weird prog. If you like modern prog, there's another one. There's another one. Although The Box was doing more like a weird pop, more like kind of in the XTC range in the 80s and stuff like that. And then they just decided to say, you know what, we're just going to be prog. And it's really good. We have potentially a guest coming on our show, which is an interesting name. And basically that's about it.
There you go. Well, look here, people. Subscribe to all these wonderful channels. Check out Mythologic.
Yes.
Both albums are fantastic. Third album scheduled out in September. Zoltan's got a new album coming out. Very exciting times. Next thing you know, you're in a couple weeks, we're going to find out that Tara's got her debut album fixing to come out. When's that happening, Tara?
I haven't got a note in my head, so that'll never happen. Don't worry.
She's got a drummer. She's got a drummer right here.
It's happening. I can see the album cover already.
I would like to mention, Scott, Matt, you said Matt Brown is doing the show next week.
We have Matt Brown in the house next week. It's going to be awesome.
His band, A Museum, is fantastic. And they've only got 1 CD out that I know of. Is that true, Cody?
A Museum does, yes.
Yeah, what a great album. Very, very, influenced, but there's a wide variety of other flavors going on there.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Go check that out, A Museum.
Yeah.
That album, the Museum record is actually produced by Billy Sherwood too.
That's correct.
Yeah, right. Yep. That's right. So that's going to be exciting. I'm really excited to have him on the show.
He's a great guy. Yeah,
he's amazing.
I've seen that Cody was doing streams with him and Lauren, and I'm like, I don't know who this Matt guy is.
He's awesome.
I found out he's actually the real deal. And people asking about modern prog before we go, absolutely. Wobbler, you could do a whole lot worse. And their spin-off, The Chronicles of Father Robin, Big Train. Yeah, we talk about the old stuff because it gets the numbers. But, I love modern prog. You are missing out. See you, Zoltan. We'll see you next time.
No. Sorry. Sorry.
That's all good.
No.
But, yeah, man, so that's what we do here. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Cody, for being here every Sunday. Scott, you're becoming like a regular fixture here. Tara, I got you on the schedule for next week, so I'm excited about that as we explore Pink Floyd in some depth. Zoltan, we'll get you on the schedule here in the next couple weeks. I don't know, but anyway, this was a good one, really good one, and the numbers look great. So we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. What was this? This was Sunday Prog stream number 36. Can you believe that, Wayne?
Wow.
36.
They said it would never work.
They said this thing wouldn't work. We're proving them wrong every single week. Anyway, I love you guys. Peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet. And God save the king. Save King Chucky. That boy needs your saving right now. He's got the cancer. So bring him to America and we'll give him some real good doctrine. We got some real good doctors here and we can lay hands on that boy. We can do some spells and incantations. And then guess what? We're going to dance with snakes. Yes, we are. We're going to dance with snakes and that boy's going to be just fine. I'll see you guys sometime next week when we talk about something or another. I have no idea. Peace.